The chess piece slammed onto the marble table so hard that champagne rippled inside crystal glasses. Laughter burst out instantly. "Come here," the millionaire said, loud enough for the entire hall. "Show everyone how little people play." The underdog stopped where he was. He had been passing quietly along the wall, carrying a folded tablecloth over his arm, eyes down, steps careful. He wasn't dressed for attention, no tailored suit, no polish. Just clean clothes, worn shoes, and a calm posture that made him almost invisible. The ballroom glittered with money. Chandeliers burned overhead like captured suns. Silk dresses whispered past polished shoes. Somewhere, a violin softened the air, but now even that sound felt unsure. All eyes turned. The millionaire leaned back in his chair, diamond ring catching the light as he adjusted it slowly, enjoying the pause. He was the kind of man who never rushed moments like this. Wealth had taught him that silence could be bent. "What?" he added, smiling wider. "You like chess, don't you?" A few guests laughed again. Someone lifted a phone. The underdog didn't answer right away. His fingers tightened slightly around the cloth. Then he spoke, voice even, respectful. "I'm working, sir." The answer landed wrong. A ripple went through the crowd, not anger, but amusement. Declining the billionaire's invitation felt like a joke itself. "Oh," the millionaire said, drawing out the sound. "He's busy." He stood slowly, straightening his jacket, towering without effort. His tone stayed playful, but his eyes sharpened. "Relax. This is entertainment. You people love that," he said to the guests, spreading his hands. "Watch, encourage," one woman whispered, loud enough to be heard. "Just play. It's chess." Another laugh. This one longer. The underdog lowered his gaze, shifting back half a step. His body angled away, an instinct to disappear, to give the room what it wanted. Nothing from him. But the millionaire noticed that movement too. "You walked over here earlier," he said lightly. "Adjusted my board." "You must know something." The chessboard sat between them, white pieces gleaming, black pieces sharp and orderly, perfect, expensive, and touched. The underdog began. "Careful," the millionaire interrupted, chuckling. That sounded like confidence. More laughter. A man near the bar muttered, "Show him how it's done." The underdog said nothing now. His breathing slowed. His shoulders remained straight. The millionaire tilted his head theatrically. "Unless you're scared." That word changed the room. It wasn't yelled. It didn't need to be. Scared. A few guests leaned in. Someone zoomed their phone image tighter. The crowd sensed direction like blood in water. "I wouldn't want to embarrass you," the millionaire continued, feigning concern. "I mean, look at this place." Wrong audience for mistakes. The underdog finally lifted his eyes. Not in defiance, not in anger. In calculation. "I don't think this is appropriate," he said quietly. The billionaire laughed, loud and full, clapping once. "Did you hear that? Appropriate." He turned to the crowd. "Tell you what? One game, 10 minutes. If you lose, you go back to work like nothing happened." He leaned closer now, lowering his voice just enough to feel personal. "Dangerous. But if you win." He shrugged. "Well, miracles deserve witnesses." The crowd hummed with approval. Phones were fully raised now. The room had chosen its side, entertainment over dignity. The underdog stepped back again. For a moment, it looked like he might leave. Then the millionaire straightened and said the line that stuck. "Your father ever tell you you'd never be anything?" The laughter came slower this time, but it still came. The underdog didn't react right away. His face didn't change, but something behind his eyes closed, like a door shutting quietly. He folded the tablecloth carefully. "Set it down," I said. "I'll play." The underdog said. The words were calm, clear, final. The mansion seemed to inhale. The millionaire blinked once, surprised, then smiled wider than before. "Excellent," he said, pulling out a chair. "Sit." As the underdog stepped toward the board, whispers surged through the crowd, amused, eager, hungry. None of them noticed one thing. He didn't sit like someone guessing. He sat like someone remembering. The applause came too early. It was scattered at first to claps, then 5 until it swelled into something that sounded like approval but felt like a trap. "Sit him closer," someone joked. "Don't break the board." Another laughed. The underdog hadn't moved yet. He stood beside the table, Hands relaxed at his sides, eyes resting on the chess pieces without touching them. The White King gleamed under the chandelier, flawless and expectant like the room itself. The millionaire cleared his throat loudly, savoring the attention. Go on, everyone's waiting. A couple of cameras edged nearer. The underdog didn't sit. I don't need to, he said. The room wavered. Confusion slid into the smiles. The millionaire laughed, but his laughter was sharper now. You don't need to, he repeated, nodding as if it were a good joke. That's your strategy? I didn't come here for this, the underdog replied. His voice stayed low, controlled. I don't want attention. That sentence landed heavier than the last. Some guests exchanged glances. Others scoffed. Oh, relax, a woman near the bar said. It's just a game, a free lesson, a man added. Be grateful. The millionaire lifted a hand, quieting them, not to protect the underdog, but to claim the moment. He leaned forward, elbows on the table, diamond cufflinks catching the light. You know what attention does? He said casually. It changes lives. He snapped his fingers once. A staff member appeared immediately. Tell them the prize, the millionaire said. The staff member hesitated, then spoke. If he wins, there's a charity donation. 50,000. A ripple of surprise moved through the crowd. The millionaire smiled. And if he loses, he added smoothly, nothing changes. Phones came fully out now. 50,000 wasn't charity anymore, it was spectacle. The underdog remained standing. That money doesn't need to be gambled, he said calmly. There are other ways to use it. The room went quiet in a different way. The millionaire's smile tightened. Not angry, curious, interesting, he said. You're turning down money now? I'm turning down this, the underdog replied. A murmur rolled across the room, disapproval mixed with disbelief. Who does he think he is? Someone whispered. The millionaire leaned back, crossed one leg over the other. His voice dropped. Listen carefully, he said. Do you know how many people in this room would give anything for this seat? The underdog didn't answer. You think you're above it? The millionaire continued. He gestured to the guests. Above them? No, the underdog said. I think games like this are meant to humiliate someone. The word humiliate echoed faintly. A few smiles faded. The millionaire laughed again, but this time, it was too fast. Too loud. Oh, come on. That's dramatic. He stood, moving closer, invading space casually, like a habit that never failed him. You work here, right? Yes, so don't get confused, he said pleasantly. You're not being humiliated. You're being included. The crowd nodded. Inclusion sounded good. The underdog took a breath, slow, controlled. I really should go, he said, and that's when the pressure shifted. A man near the cameras called out, scared? Another voice followed. If you were good, you'd already be sitting. The millionaire didn't stop them. He raised his glass slightly, eyes locked on the underdog. Last chance, he said softly. Or you walk away and everyone remembers that you did. That did it. The room felt tighter now. Like air pulled thin, the underdog looked around, faces half curious, half expectant. People he didn't know deciding who he was in real time. Slowly, he pulled out the chair. He didn't sit yet. I don't want excuses, he said, calm as still water. No time limits, no jokes, no audience commentary. The millionaire blinked. Then he grinned. Oh, I like him now. The terms landed strange, but the crowd approved. Fairness sounded generous. Fine, the millionaire said, waving a hand. Play however you want. The underdog nodded once, then he sat. Silence spread across the table like a held breath. The millionaire reached for the white pieces confidently, fingers drumming with impatience. Let's end this fast, he said. The underdog folded his hands and finally, quietly, lifted his eyes. The crowd leaned in, unaware that they had just crossed the point of no return. The first move came loud. The millionaire slapped his pawn forward with a grin. Pawn to e4, he announced, like he was teaching children. A few guests chuckled. The underdog didn't react immediately. His eyes traced the board, not nervously, not searching, but evenly, as if the positions already lived somewhere behind his gaze. Then his hand moved. C5, he said quietly. No show. No pause. The word passed softly through the space, unnoticed by most. The millionaire raised an eyebrow. Sicilian? He laughed. Bold. The crowd relaxed again. This was familiar territory, the underdog making a brave mistake. He underdog's fingers withdrew from the board without tremor. He folded his hands loosely in his lap. Across from him, the millionaire leaned back, stretching, enjoying himself. See, he said to a nearby guest. Confidence fades quickly, but the underdog wasn't fading. As the next few moves passed, something subtle began to shift. Not on the board but in the room, the millionaire played like someone performing. Each move came with commentary, jokes, exaggerated gestures. He attacked early, sloppy but theatrical, pieces clacking loudly as if noise itself could intimidate. The underdog answered quickly every time, not rushed, not delayed. Quick. A woman near the edge of the circle tilted her head. He's not thinking much, she whispered. No, another replied, frowning. He's thinking. Before the underdog's breathing stayed steady. Shoulders relaxed, spine straight. His eyes never left the board, not once glancing at the cameras, the crowd, or the man trying to crush him with attention. And then the board blurred, not in the room. In his memory. The table was smaller then, scarred wood, one leg shorter than the others, wobbling slightly. The light came from a single bulb above his head, buzzing faintly like an insect trapped in glass. He was younger, thinner, sitting hunched forward, elbows close to his ribs because the room was cold. Across from him, no one laughed. No chandelier, no champagne, just silence, broken only by the scrape of a pawn sliding forward. He remembered how his fingers used to shake, not from fear, but hunger. Remembered counting moves while his stomach tightened, ignoring it, training himself to breathe through discomfort. Focus. He'd whispered to himself back. Then not to win, to survive. Your turn. The voice pulled him back. The millionaire had played another flashy move, sacrificing space for style. He smiled instantly, pleased with himself. The underdog blinked once, then moved. A night left, not aggressively, but precisely. A quiet development, protective, purposeful. The laughter thinned this time. The millionaire frowned, just for a moment, then waved it away. Defensive, he said loudly. Smart, I'll give him that. Someone in the crowd nodded. Another lowered their phone slightly. The underdog shifted in his chair, not restless, just adjusting. His hand brushed the edge of the table, grounding himself. The board again tugged at memory. A library corner, public, forgotten. Dust coated books stacked unevenly. Chess diagrams photocopied so many times the ink was fading. He remembered tracing variations with a pencil he found on the floor, erasing with his sleeve. Night after night. No one cheering, no one betting on him. Only patterns, shapes, consequences. He remembered losing once badly. This sting. The quiet walk home afterward. How he replayed the game in his head until dawn, learning more from that loss than from any victory. Don't rush, he told himself then. Let them make noise. Back in the ballroom, the noise returned. Hey, he's still alive, someone joked. The millionaire laughed too, but shorter now. He leaned forward, elbows on the table, eyes narrowed just slightly. You're holding up better than I expected, he said. The underdog looked up. Chess isn't loud, he replied. A pause. Not long. Enough. The millionaire smirked. But the comment landed deeper than intended. The next few moves came faster now. The board tightening, space shrinking. A guest near the front leaned forward without realizing it. Glasses were lowered. Whisper stopped, and then the underdog did something small. He allowed a pawn to advance just a step too far. The millionaire's eyes lit up. Oh, he said, seizing the opening immediately, capturing with confidence. There we go. Laughter tried to come back, but it didn't fully arrive because the underdog didn't flinch. His fingers hovered briefly, then moved again, a response that closed something invisible. The millionaire froze mid-smile. Across the crowd, the outsider Eli leaned forward for the first time, gaze sharpening, voice barely a breath. That pawn, he murmured. That wasn't a mistake. The underdog said nothing. He just watched the board and waited. The knight moved without noise. No slap, no flourish. It slid across the squares and settled into place, calm, deliberate, like it had always belonged there. For the first time that evening, no one laughed. The millionaire stared at the board, smile half frozen. He leaned closer, scanning lines, counting variations. His ring tapped once against the marble, then stopped. Interesting, he said finally, forcing a chuckle. You're cautious. The underdog didn't respond. He didn't need to. The board was speaking now, a few moves earlier. The millionaire's position had looked expansive, pieces spread wide, aggressive, confident. Now the space seemed to shrink. Lanes closed, options narrowed. Pieces that once looked powerful began stepping on each other's shadows. The crowd felt it before they understood. It. Whispers changed tone, not mocking. Questioning. The underdog's hands rested lightly on his knees. His breathing stayed slow, measured. He hadn't once checked the audience, as if their approval or contempt didn't exist. Across from him, the millionaire shifted in his chair, adjusting his cufflinks more often than necessary. You're defending well, he said. But defense alone doesn't win games. The underdog's eyes lifted. Neither does arrogance. The air snapped tight. A few guests drew in breath. Someone's glass paused halfway to their lips. The millionaire blinked, then laughed, but this laugh had no echo. Careful, he said. That sounded almost personal. The underdog lowered his gaze again, already moving his next piece. A bishop slid back, yielding ground. The billionaire's eyes flashed. He said, pleased. There it is. He struck immediately, lunging forward, sacrificing a piece with confidence. Loud, dramatic, a show for the crowd. Momentum, he thought. The underdog studied the board. Just a heartbeat longer than usual. The crowd leaned in. Then he responded, not by defending the sacrificed score. By ignoring it. Gasps rippled. A queen shifted. A knight repositioned. Something invisible locked into place. The sacrificed piece remained untouched, hanging in the air like a bluff no one would call. The millionaire chuckled nervously. You're letting me have it? Yes, the underdog said. A strange quiet followed. The millionaire picked up his drink, took a sip, then set it down untouched. His eyes were no longer smiling. The outsider, a lie, standing near the edge of the circle, frowned. He stepped slightly forward, hands clasped behind his back. His gaze moved not between faces, but through the board, following lines only he seemed to see. That bishop retreat, he said softly, mostly to himself. Very precise. A woman nearby turned. What does that mean? He didn't answer. The underdog's mind drifted again, not away from the board, but deeper into it, a cracked tile floor. The soft scratch of chalk on a blackboard, a younger version of himself standing beside a man with tired eyes and gentle hands. A teacher, one of the few who noticed. Anyone can attack, the man had said, tapping the board. Control comes first. The boy had nodded, absorbing the words like air. You don't win by proving strength, the teacher continued. You win by taking choices away. Back in the ballroom, he did exactly that. Move by move, the underdog closed doors. The millionaire lunged again, this time without joking. His fingers moved faster, rougher. The confidence in his posture cracked. The crowd sensed it now, leaning forward. Silent. Then came the sacrifice. The underdog reached out and removed one of his own pieces, a clean, intentional gift. The kind of move that made no sense to casual eyes. Murmurs spilled. Did he just blunder? Is this where it ends? The millionaire's grin snapped back onto his face like a mask. Thank you, he said loudly, seizing the piece. The underdog nodded once. Seconds passed. Then the realization arrived. The billionaire's brow furrowed. He stared at the board, then pulled his hand back slowly. Scanning lines again, he adjusted his ring. Once, twice, something shifted in the room, like people sensing danger before a storm. You did that on purpose, the millionaire muttered. The underdog's voice was calm, almost gentle. Yes. A wave of silence rolled across the circle. The outsider, Eli, stepped fully into view now, voice clear, carrying weight. The room respected. That was a positional sacrifice, he said, and a very advanced one. Eyes turned to him. The millionaire swallowed. You're saying he planned this? He asked. The ally didn't look up. He's been planning it for several moves. The underdog said nothing. He simply watched. Waited. And as the millionaire touched his next piece, hesitant, unsure, the crowd realized something frightening. This wasn't a joke anymore. The millionaire laughed again, but this time, he was the only one. The sound lingered awkwardly in the air, unsupported, like a joke that arrived too late. He glanced around, expecting response, approval, amusement, anything. None came. A few guests had lowered their phones without realizing it. Others leaned in close, eyes locked on the board as if it might move on its own. Let's not exaggerate, the millionaire said, adjusting his jacket. Sacrifices happen. Even amateurs sacrifice. The outsider ally didn't look at him. He was studying the board intently now. Head slightly tilted, one hand resting thoughtfully at his chin. The underdog's posture hadn't changed. Hands resting lightly near the edge of the table. Stillness wrapped around him like calm around a stone. The millionaire played his move slowly this time, not for the crowd, for himself. As soon as the piece landed, the underdog responded. Instantly. No scan. No hesitation, a rook slid into place clean. Quiet cutting through the center like a blade. A collective breath was released. That was fast. Someone whispered. The millionaire froze, eyes snapping up. He's guessing, he said quickly. You can tell. He just guesses fast. The underdog looked up. Guessing loses you games, he said. Another pause. Not loud. Powerful. The millionaire's jaw tightened. He reached for a glass, then stopped himself. His fingers hovered instead, flexing slightly before returning to the board. You talk as if you've done this before, he said, trying to sound amused. I have, the underdog replied. No elaboration. No claim. Just truth. The outsider ally straightened. That repositioning wasn't instinct, he said calmly. It was calculation. A murmur rippled through the crowd, agreement forming. The millionaire scoffed. You're reading too much into it, am I? The ally replied, finally looking at him. Then explain why your queen's escape squares are disappearing. The billionaire looked back down. For the first time, he saw it. The lanes he thought were open weren't. His pieces sat crowded, stepping over each other. Options narrowing by the second. Impossible, he muttered. The underdog's mind brushed memory again. Not pain this time, but pattern. A small tournament hall. Plastic chairs. A paper sign taped crooked to the wall. He remembered being ignored until midway through the rounds. Remembered stronger players laughing when he declined aggressive lines when he waited, then the silence when they realized they'd run out of room. He remembered one opponent whispering, shocked, where did you come from? And how he hadn't answered then either. Your move, the underdog said now. The words weren't aggressive. They didn't need to be. The millionaire exhaled sharply and forced himself to act. He lunged again, desperation creeping into his play. A tactical strike meant to scare. The underdog didn't flinch. He captured coolly, then without drama advanced a pawn. A small move, the kind no one notices, except it strangled the board. The outsider ally let out a soft breath. That pawn push. He shook his head. That's not beginner thinking. That's endgame vision. The crowd stirred louder this time. Is he actually good? No, more than good. He's controlling everything. The millionaire looked up, eyes darting. Enough, he snapped. Let's speed this up. He moved again, careless. Rushed. And the underdog punished it immediately. A knight jumped. A fork. To threats. One answer. The billionaire stiffened. Wait, the word slipped out before he could stop it. The underdog's hand lingered mid-air, not to gloat, but to choose with care. That small hesitation carried weight. Then he completed the move. The fork held. The millionaire's shoulders slumped a fraction. The room was fully silent now. Even the chandelier seemed too loud. The outsider ally stepped closer, voice firm, unmistakable. You're not facing a hobbyist, he said. You're facing someone trained. The millionaire laughed weakly. Trained by who? The underdog didn't answer. He studied the board because the next phase had arrived and there was no escaping it. The underdog spoke softly. Check. The word spread through the room like a cold wind. For a moment, no one reacted. The sound was too small for what it carried. Then the millionaire leaned forward sharply, eyes snapping to his king. If it had betrayed him, that's not. He began, then stopped. He traced lines with his finger. One escape square, gone. Another, covered. His jaw tightened as he leaned closer. Breath shallow now. The underdog remained still, hands folded. Watching. Double quotes. You rushed that. The millionaire said, forcing a smile. You think I didn't see it? The underdog met his eyes. Calm, clear. You saw it, he said. Too late. A low murmur rolled through the crowd. Someone shifted their weight. A woman lowered her glass carefully, as if noise itself felt dangerous now. The millionaire rubbed his temple, then laughed sharply. "Relax," he said to no one in particular. "This is still very much in my favor," but he didn't sound convinced. He played his moves slowly, carefully, a defensive block. "Sensible." The underdog responded instantly. Another quiet, precise movement. The board tightened. The billionaire's breathing changed faster now. His fingers hovered longer before touching pieces, as if waiting for permission that never came. "You're enjoying this?" he accused suddenly. The underdog shook his head once. "No, then why take your time?" "I'm not," he replied. "You are." That line hit harder than any capture. The outsider ally stepped forward, voice carrying the kind of calm that silences rooms. "He's not playing you," he said evenly. "He's limiting you." The millionaire snapped his head up. "Stay out of this." "I can't," the ally replied. "Not anymore." Eyes turned. Phones reappeared, this time not for ridicule, but record. The ally pointed gently at the board. "Your king is boxed. Your pieces are uncoordinated. His aren't. That can change." The billionaire snapped. "Only if he allows it." Silence followed. The underdog adjusted one piece barely a notch. More correction than move. Still legal. Still deliberate. The pressure doubled. The millionaire swallowed and wiped his palm against his trousers. Sweat had appeared at his hairline now, catching chandelier light no amount of confidence could hide. "I gave you a chance," he said suddenly. "You could have lost quietly." The underdog looked up. "So could you." A sharp inhale moved through the room. The billionaire slammed his hand lightly against the table, not enough to stop the game. Just enough to show frustration. "Stop pretending you're calm," he said. "Everyone shakes eventually." The underdog opened his hands. They were steady. That visual crushed something fragile. The millionaire leaned back, staring at the ceiling briefly, then returned to the board with urgency. He sacrificed desperately, tossed a piece aside, creating artificial space. The crowd gasped. "Bold," someone whispered. "Or reckless." The underdog studied the board a few seconds longer than usual. "Not fear - respect." Then he accepted the sacrifice. The sound of the captured piece echoed louder than it should have. The billionaire's shoulders sagged. The outsider ally exhaled slowly. "That was your last active chance." The millionaire stood halfway, then sank back into his chair. "No," he said. "This isn't over." The underdog leaned forward for the first time. "Check," he said again. This time, everyone felt a "becaue" now. There was no confusion. No escape. With dignity, only a narrowing tunnel. The millionaire searched the board frantically. His ring clicked against the table as his hand trembled. "You planned this," he whispered. The underdog didn't deny it. Moves unfolded like doors closing one by one. Each response clean, inevitable. The room was completely silent now, not a whisper, not a clink of glass. Finally, the billionaire looked up. His voice had changed. "How many moves?" he asked quietly. The outsider ally answered for him. "Enough." The underdog's hand hovered above the board, choosing carefully, not because he doubted the outcome, but because endings mattered. He made the move, and the millionaire flinched. Because for the first time that night, he understood something terrifying. This wasn't a fight anymore. It was a countdown. The underdog's hand stopped above the board, not shaking. Not unsure. Waiting. The room felt hollowed out, as if all sound had been carved away. Even breathing seemed intrusive now. The millionaire stared at the board like it might rearrange itself if he waited long enough. It didn't. The underdog placed his piece down quietly. "Checkmate." The word landed without force, and yet it crushed everything beneath it. For half a second, nothing happened. Then the millionaire blinked. Once, twice. "That's not." His voice trailed off as he leaned forward again, eyes darting desperately from square to square. His finger traced invisible lines, hunting for escape. Any square, any excuse. There were none. The king was sealed in. The realization hit in layers. Confusion first, then disbelief, then something raw and exposed. "No," he muttered. "I still have." He stopped himself. Because the board wasn't arguing, the crowd didn't move. Even those who didn't understand chess understood this. It was over. The millionaire sank back into his chair, shoulders slumping, breath leaving him in a long, broken exhale. His hands rested flat on the table now, palms down. As if studying himself, he looked up slowly. Every eye was on him. Not amused, not supportive, just watching. The outsider Eli stepped forward, voice firm, unmistakable. "That is a forced mate," he said. Clean, calculated. There was no improvisation. He turned to the crowd. "You're witnessing top-tier play." A murmur rose, not laughter, not chatter, but awe. Phones were raised again, but differently now. Carefully, respectfully, the millionaire cleared his throat. "This was supposed to be entertainment," he said weakly. The underdog stood, not abruptly, not triumphantly. He pushed his chair back with care and straightened his jacket. His face showed no pride, only composure. "This wasn't entertainment for me," he said. The sentence cut deeper than any insult. "Then what was it?" the millionaire asked, voice strained. The underdog met his gaze evenly. Proof. Silence followed. The millionaire laughed once, a thin sound. "Empty." He shook his head. "Who are you?" he asked. "Really?" the outsider Eli answered before the underdog could. "Someone you dismissed," he said. "Someone you tried to turn into a spectacle." He paused. "And someone far more accomplished than you realized." The billionaire's jaw tightened. His eyes flicked to the crowd, once confident territory, now a wall of witnesses. "I gave you a chance," he muttered. The underdog responded calmly. "So did I. That ended it." There was no applause at first. Just quiet. Heavy. Then someone clapped. Slowly. Another followed. Soon his sound grew, not wild, not mocking, but steady, respectful. Recognition. The millionaire stood awkwardly, pushing his chair back to hard. It scraped loudly against the marble, the noise jarring in the silence. He tried to smile, failed. "Well played," he said, but the words sounded borrowed. The underdog nodded once. "Thank you." No gloating. No lecture. Just dignity. As he turned away from the table, the crowd parted instinctively. People created space now, not because he was small, but because he mattered. The chessboard sat abandoned, pieces frozen mid-battle, one side conquered without a single raised voice. Behind him, the millionaire remained standing, hands clenched, face stripped of performance. For the first time that night, there was nowhere to hide. No laughter. No spotlight. Just the aftermath of Underestimation. As the underdog took his first step away, the outsider Eli spoke again, clear, measured, carrying across the room. "This won't end here." The underdog paused but didn't turn back, because the game was finished and the rest of the world was about to begin. The room didn't rush him. That was the strangest part. As the underdog walked away from the board, no one tried to stop him. No one shouted questions. No one pushed a microphone toward his face. The crowd simply watched, parted, and let him pass. Power had shifted and everyone felt it. Near the edge of the ballroom, the outsider Eli waited, not blocking the path, just standing there, hands folded, posture respectful. "You don't have to leave so quickly," he said. The underdog paused. "I didn't come here to stay," he replied. The ally nodded once, then reached into his jacket and pulled something folded with care. "Then allow me to return something you never should have lost." He held it out, a uniform jacket. Clean, pressed, heavy, with meaning. A quiet ripple moved through the guests as the fabric unfolded, structured shoulders, disciplined lines, and there on the shoulder, stitched neatly into place, asterisk to stars, asterisk. Not decorative. Earned. A woman near the front inhaled sharply. "Those aren't, they are," the ally said calmly. "Leadership designation, strategic command, awarded, not purchased." The underdog took the jacket. His hands tightened just slightly, not from nerves, but memory. A younger version of him standing in a hallway that smelled like disinfectant and dust. A man, his father, arms crossed, voice flat. "Don't wear things like that," he'd said. "You'll only be disappointed when they're taken away." The weight of those words had followed him longer than any uniform. Now, in the center of a room full of wealth and witnesses, he slipped the jacket on. The fabric settled perfectly, like it had been waiting. The crowd stood without being told to. Some didn't realize they had. The millionaire stared from across the room, face pale, eyes locked on the stars. For the first time, he didn't look angry. He looked small. I didn't know, he said hoarsely. The underdog didn't turn. That was never my responsibility, he said. The ally spoke again, projecting just enough for the room to hear. He ranked top of his cohort. Strategic theory. Pattern warfare. Chess was never a hobby for him. A pause, it was training. Whispers rushed like wind through grass. So all this time, he was holding back. No, the ally corrected. He was waiting for the right moment. The underdog faced the room now, not to claim applause, but to reclaim something quieter. I don't need apologies, he said. I don't need praise. His gaze passed briefly over the millionaire. Not accusing, not triumphant, just acknowledging. I only needed the game to end. Silence answered him. Then, a single clap. Then another. Not loud, not chaotic, measured, intentional. The millionaire stepped forward, instinctively, then stopped himself. He swallowed. I misjudged you, he said, voice strained but honest. The underdog nodded. Double quotes. Yes, he said. You did. That was all. No lecture. No revenge. No cruelty. The billionaire opened his mouth, as if to add something. Money, opportunity, control, but nothing came that wouldn't cheapen the moment. So he stayed quiet. For once, the crowd parted again as the underdog walked toward the exit. Cameras followed, but from a distance now, careful not to intrude. As he reached the doorway, the ally spoke one final time. You changed the room tonight, he said. Not with force, with restraint. The underdog paused, hand on the door. My father used to think silence meant weakness, he said. He was wrong. He stepped through. Outside, the night air was cool, clean, honest. Inside, the mansion buzzed not with laughter, but realization. Because they'd all learned something they couldn't unsee. That greatness doesn't announce itself. It doesn't shout. It doesn't beg for a seat at the table. Sometimes, it waits quietly until it doesn't have to anymore.